E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Finding Health Naturally. Wednesdays, Mentoring Our Youth. Thursdays, Pets We Love. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and Donna Guinois. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Hueda.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Messages of Inspirational Stories. Jim, I'm so excited. It's Friday. We always end our week with Women in Leadership. And today we have an amazing, amazing woman to talk about who truly paved the way for women all over in the medical industry.
Oh, she certainly did. And ladies and gentlemen, we're so glad you tuned in. And our show is proudly brought to you by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. I've talked a lot about the 6-Minute Webinar, but I'll put the marquee there. Please check it out, because if you're struggling in your business and you need a great message, you need the 6-Minute Webinar. And also, too, by Mr. Bill Heinrich, the 7 Levels of Truth. Mr. Bill is a personal friend of mine and Donna's, and we can honestly tell you, if you're struggling to find peace and joy and love in your life, and how to find your true pathway in life. You know, Donna, right. Mr. Bill can help him, can he?
He really can. He's been there. So it's not just, I've gone to school or I've studied this and I know, what they say because the book told me. He's walked the walk.
He wrote the book. He sure did. And I'm enjoying some.
And wrote the book.
There you go. Yeah, he earned a T-shirt, but he said he threw it away, and I don't blame him. I think we've all can relate to that. Down the pathway of life, we're walking down. The things we come through. We've been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. No, thank you. I don't need that. Right. I'm enjoying some good hot dandelion tea. For you folks out there concerned about your health, all I'm going to say is this. Just be prudent, do your own research on dandelion and whatever disease or illness or whatever it is that concerns you, and you make your own personal informed decision. In my case, it's about my heart, but I looked at cardiologists, people who are subject matter experts in that. So today, Donna, this is our second part from last week about nursing. Yes. And we thought we would close this up with the lady that set the standard. And
she
Donna,
did.
I don't think she probably
she had to fight for it.
Yes,
Not
she
only
did.
did she set the standard, but she had to fight for what she wanted to do in life.
Yeah, she really did.
So, folks, we're talking none other than Florence Nightingale.
What a tremendous, tremendous lady. And I'd just like to start out, if I may, just do a quick little video to give you a little bit of history about Florence Nightingale. Would you like to do that now, Donna?
I would. It is so informative, because there's always things that we learn.
Oh, yeah. This is a great video of this wonderful lady. And Donna and I both know when she set out on a personal mission. She had no idea the impact she was going to have. And that's important in life.
How many years afterwards, right?
And it's still going.
Yeah.
She set the standard. I mean, oh my goodness gracious. Let's see if I can find it down here and I'll plug and play. And this is the history of Florence Nightingale in just 3 minutes. We'll be right back.
Florence Nightingale was a pioneer of public health and the founder of modern nursing.
Because of Florence Nightingale, nursing is one of the most regulated and respected professions in the world.
Named after her city of birth, Florence, Italy, Florence Nightingale was born on May 12, 1820, into an upper-class British family.
As a woman of her time and her class, it would have been expected that she would marry, maintain a lovely home, and be a hostess. But Florence Nightingale had very different plans. Though at the time nursing was not a respected profession, Nightingale felt very called to become a nurse.
At age 24, Nightingale defied her parents' expectations to marry a suitable match and left England to study at the Kaiserswerth Hospital in Dusseldorf, Germany.
When she returned from Germany, she took a job as a nurse at a hospital in London, and she was eventually promoted after only a year to be head of nursing there.
She improved sanitary conditions so much that she garnered a reputation as a reformer and as an advocate for public health.
During the Crimean War, the British press made public the horrendous conditions of the wounded soldiers in Turkey. The army turned to Florence Nightingale for help.
Sidney Herbert, Secretary at War, reached out directly to Nightingale. When Nightingale and her band of nurses arrived at Scutari, the hospital in the Crimea, they were shocked at what they found.
The field hospitals were positioned on cesspools of putrid water. Patients were lying in their filth. More soldiers were dying from infections than they were from wounds sustained on the battlefield.
Many of the reforms that Florence Nightingale instituted were quite revolutionary. Nightingale insisted that there be fresh air and water for all the soldiers, that recuperating soldiers receive healthy food to eat to help make them better, and that all of the bandages and sheets and blankets were adequately laundered each day.
By the time she was done, Florence Nightingale had succeeded in reducing the death rate within these military hospitals by 2/3.
Known as the Angel of the Crimea, Nightingale returned to England and received a hero's welcome, a medal from Queen Victoria, and a gift of $250,000. She devoted the rest of her life to effecting change in medical care.
In 1860, Florence Nightingale founded at St. Thomas Hospital in London the Nightingale Training School for Nurses.
She was a pioneer in the use of cutting-edge statistical methods of the time to design hospitals and medical systems to maximize the health of the community at large.
This really helped her to make her message known to the parliamentarians and government agencies who would make important decisions about hospitals and healthcare.
In her later years, Nightingale was officially honored by Germany, France, Norway, and numerous prestigious British societies. She died at her London home on August 13, 1910.
The fact that we have a nursing profession today is in large part thanks to the work of Florence Nightingale.
That was a tremendous, tremendous video. We found that, and Donna and I, we both agreed we got to share this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because, when you think about where she came from a family that was well-to-do. And
Right.
she could have grown up as, any young person in a well-to-do family thinking how great, life is.
Gone right into society and
Yeah. And just, focused on herself and enhancing her lifestyle. But yet she had a heart to reach out, to be that spark plug that was needed at that time to be
Right.
able to improve the medical care from a nursing point of view for patients. And because of Florence Nightingale, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to the hospital, it's not a fun place you want to go, but when you're in there and you're grateful and thankful for the wonderful nursing care that you received, and I certainly am, I think we all are, should be anyway, we owe a big time thank you to Florence Nightingale. My goodness gracious.
well, and even a step further, she took this not only from a nursing standpoint, but
Mhm.
a humanity standpoint, Jim.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Right?
I'm glad you
Just
brought that out.
humanity of sanitary, being sanitary and doing the right things in
Mm.
order to make sure that their care was as good as it could be.
Yeah, because I didn't realize that she saw the need for sanitary conditions, because a lot of the soldiers, more and more, as you just heard, were dying more from disease than from being wounded.
Right.
And
there was a time, Jim, back way back, when doctors and such did not wash their hands when they did surgery.
Oh yeah. There
So,
was a
you know,
time.
Sure,
Yeah.
they were like, yeah, whatever, I just
Yeah.
got done milking the cow, so now I got to go in and operate on this guy, and they never washed
Yeah.
their hands. And so disease transferred like crazy.
Oh, yeah. And that brings up an interesting point. I remember reading, and I should have looked that up, but I didn't think of it, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. But I remember a story about a scientist trying to educate doctors about germs, and they didn't believe him. Because if they can't see it, it can't exist. And we certainly know germs exist, But can you imagine going in for surgery and some guy has just been, doing whatever around us? Yeah. Or just came in from the restroom to start, opening you up. Oh man, that could get, because that is a horrible infection. I remember in Vietnam, for example, the Fuji sticks, they would cut them, these bamboo sticks, they cut them at a slight angle, making a sharp edge. And they would put feces on there, because if you stepped in that or if you got jabbed by one of those horrible sticks,
immediately goes septic.
That's blood poisoning right there, instantaneously. That's how serious that is. So I am so grateful that she was the type of person who recognized the need, and she rose to the occasion. Now let's think about that for a moment. Donna, Bill follows the energy, and he's taught us how to follow the energy and how to make options in your plans rather than decisions, because decisions put up binders because you're focused on the end result. And when the energy came to her and she saw the need, she followed that energy. So what does that tell people out there in TV land about their calling in life?
It doesn't matter when you were born, the energy is going to, for whatever we're going to do, you got to follow it, right?
Yes.
Whether you have the heart of a healer or, you're a farmer, just whatever it is you do in life, it doesn't matter, but you need to follow that energy and be good with it. Because when you follow the energy and you're good with it, like in this case with Florence Nightingale, look what she accomplished.
Oh, yes, my goodness.
Sick. Let's talk about that for a minute, Jim. She got sick.
Yes, she did.
And
go ahead.
Well, it wasn't like she got sick for a week or two. It was years and years. And no matter how sick she was, she dealt with it and went on with her mission.
Mm-hmm. That takes a lot of commitment right there. It takes a lot of strength. And, the way that she committed herself, and what we talked about a little bit, or just a few moments ago, about energy, how many times in our lives, I know I'm guilty of this, that I ignored my energy or my calling because I was so focused on what it was I wanted to do. And it turned out to be a train wreck, or like you're pushing a chain uphill. That's a crystal clear sign that you're heading down the wrong path. Because as W. Clement Stone said in his book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, co-written with Napoleon Hill, he talks about the little hinges that will open big doors. And when one door shuts, it means another door is opening, and that's the direction you should go in. And I've had a few times in my life when the direction I was going in, the door slammed shut, and I thought, you get frustrated. And I didn't realize that was a calling for me to look to the higher, look at the bigger picture, as we like to say. And Florence Nightingale, my goodness gracious, as we researched this, and Donna and I talked about it, she's one of these people that the more that you learn about her life, the more impressed you become.
Right.
And Yeah, she was in charge of 30, was it 38 nurses, I think it was, to help
I'm looking at it right now. Yes,
Yeah.
38 other female nurses. Yes.
And during her first winter, experienced 4,077 soldiers that died.
Right.
And it's 10 times more soldiers died from disease than from the battle wounds.
Right.
And in 1855, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say in 1855, a sanitary commission was sent to a place called Scutari, I guess that's Scutari, and they flushed out sewers, cleaned out overflowing latrines, cesspits, and removed a dead horse that was contaminating the drinking water.
Right.
How could that happen in 1855? I mean, you would think common sense from the caveman days on up, you would not want to be drinking water from the same source a dead horse is dead in.
Exactly. So, Florence Nightingale was also known as the lady with the lamp. And it was referring to how she carried an oil lamp during hospital rounds. And we talked about her just a few minutes ago being sick. So this is what I found out about it. While stationed in Crimea, if I said that right, Nightingale developed Crimean fever. It's a bacterial infection now known as brucellosis. Is that how you say it? Brucellosis.
That sounds good to me.
And she never recovered. She remained mostly bedbound for the rest of her life. In 1954, from the age of 35 to 60 years, Florence Nightingale was reported as suffering from chest pains, headaches, rapid muscle fatigue, persistent upper back pain, and being unable to concentrate if more than one person was present. Despite being bedbound, Nightingale continued until her death to work on advancing the nursing profession and lobbying for regulatory changes to hospitals. She met with government officials in her home, wrote thousands of letters to promote nursing reform. Nursing pins designed with lamps are common throughout the world in order to honor Nightingale and her advancement of the profession of nursing. The pledge that nurses take upon graduation is called the Nightingale Pledge.
Wow.
Right?
I did not know that, because I know doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, because Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine, or recognizes that. But I didn't know the nurses did that.
Yep.
But rightfully so. Rightfully
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is what she did. She did as much, or maybe in some ways, Jim, more bedbound, right? Bedbound. So from 35 to age 60. And understanding that to live to age 60, especially with a disease, but even just to live to age 60 back then was unbelievable.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Most people did not live that long.
Yeah, a lot of people, they 30s and 40s and things like that, And I think my signal may be a little fading. We've got some very horrendous weather here. So please bear with the storms and everything else, lightning and everything. So,
back then in that time period, girls were getting married at 13 and 14.
That's right.
And they were having babies at 15 and 16.
Oh, yeah.
So, it was not uncommon for, a woman to be full grown and have a couple of babies by the time she was 16 or 17 years old. And so that's why by the time, they were 40, they were considered old back then.
Yeah. And a lady that never married in her 30s considered an old maid or something. It was horrible. It really was. And
I think even before that, back then, they were considered an old maid.
Well, if it turned 21.
It was really interesting. Right? So it also went on to say that disability does not mean the end to a useful life. We called our foundation Nightingale since many sufferers of ME And CFS typify the courage and dedication of Florence Nightingale and continue to live their lives under enormous disabilities. Her birthday was May 12th and is chosen as International Awareness Day for Chronic Immunology. Boy, if I can get my tongue to work today, folks, it'll be a great day.
I let her say the big words.
Immunological and neurological diseases. So, and I understand that. I have autoimmune diseases, right? And they really can create a lot of havoc. And think about this. Back in that day, when diseases were going on, just like early on when people had cancer, we didn't know it was cancer.
Not at all.
We didn't know what cancer was. I remember I was in 6th grade, Jim, and my grandmother was had cancer, and you didn't talk about cancer as we do today. When people would talk about it, say, Donna's grandmother has cancer. It was a whisper.
Yeah.
It was a whisper, right? And I mean, I don't think anybody is not touched by cancer.
That's true.
In
That
some way,
is so
shape,
true.
or form.
Yeah, either a family member or a close friend. I mean, it's they don't have to look far and wide
Right.
to know someone that has either had cancer, suffered from cancer, or lost a loved one to cancer. My goodness.
Sure.
And
so,
now,
all these other, diseases, right? And we had a lot of these diseases all along, but we didn't have names for them.
absolutely. And it's really amazing to me how, and how she set up things and how she refused. And you can imagine her being ill herself. Her energy and her, just physical energy had to be low. But she had she was 16, it said that she had a kind of like a religious experience or something, or some type of a calling in life. And she labeled it that was to do God's work. And, she did that. She, no question, just did it because her dad was very well to do. He had inherited a couple of plantations or estates anyway. And so, like we said earlier, she could have very easily have flowed into the lifestyle of the rich and the famous.
Oh, right. The very upper crust of society, as
That's where she was born. Yeah. But can you imagine someone coming from that environment and going into the worst conditions, seeing the carnage of war, which is an ugly thing that's inflicted on the human bodies, and see these soldiers and see other people afflicted by disease and see how they suffer. And she says, I'm here for you. What a tremendous lady.
Well, remember that back in the 1800s, during war, our soldiers, no matter where you were at, we didn't have anesthesia.
Oh, no.
So it was absolutely not uncommon, to have a bite stick, right? A stick they put in the mouth, and they got their leg all messed up, and they had to amputate the leg or the arm or what have you. And they'd be like, bite down, this is going to hurt. And they just start sawing it off right there.
Yeah. Because a lot of soldiers that had broken bones or fractured bones, and even the Civil War, they knew they're going to get, they're going to go see Dr. Sawbones, because that's exactly what they did.
Well, because a lot of times in the conditions they were in, they would already had gangrene set in. And of course, once you have gangrene set in, especially back then, you couldn't do anything about it. You had to get rid of it.
Yeah. It was, get rid of the least to save the whole, one of those deals.
Right.
And you mentioned something earlier, it flashed in my mind. Back in the 50s, my brother had to have his tonsils taken out. My brother was 8 years older than me. So he was 12 or 13. I think I was either 4 or 5, somewhere in there. And we got, we went in on the buddy plan. They figure, well, because you know how surgeons get into, we know how the thing works. Things get popular. Well, we got to have this done, got to have that done. Well, you got to have his tonsils taken out. Well, let's take it out of the little boy too, and we'll avoid the problem. But I remember how horrible it was, the way they put me to sleep. I remember that very, very distinctly. Do you know how they put me to sleep, Donna?
My guess would be ether.
You're exactly right. A nurse came in, had a big white wad of cotton or gauze, whatever, had this stinky ether, poured it on there and put it over my nose and mouth, and I'm fighting. And that's the way they put me to sleep. And of course, look
how... It's also the way that they helped with pain back then.
Yeah, It sure was. And I remember some people would get sick off that ether and just, can you imagine going in for some type of abdominal surgery and then come out and be sick on top of that? Oh my goodness, how horrible. Nowadays.
My mother had, she said they gave me a snort of ether when she went in to have me to manage the pain. That was what they used back then to manage pain, was give you a little sniff of ether.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, that stuff put me out in La La Land. And probably somewhere down the road, they'll probably say, ether causes, for you not to be real smart. Well, now I've got an excuse. But Donna, we found another video too of a museum dedicated to Florence Nightingale. And this lady plays the part beautiful. It really is. And it's our pleasure to share this with you. And my goodness gracious, I get a kick out of this lady. She plays the part very well. We'll be back just in about 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoy it.
I bid you a good day and welcome to my museum. You've probably heard of me. I am Florence Nightingale, one of Victorian Britain's most famous women. Now, despite being born 200 years ago, people still seem fascinated by my life. You've probably heard that I am one of the most famous nurses, and you've probably heard of the Crimean War. But how much do you know of my life? Here at the Florence Nightingale Museum, you can find out all about my early life and my struggles to be allowed to become a nurse. Can you imagine? I had to fight to become a nurse. Fortunately, I had my dear pet Athena the owl here to help me with my struggles. Oh, it was such a shame. She came to such an unfortunate demise while I was away doing my duty for dear Queen and country. I am most famous for my work at the Crimean War. Indeed, it led to my lifelong support of the British Army. Now here at the Florence Nightingale Museum, you can see my medicine chest, which I took with me to Scutari Hospital. And you can find out about the 229 ladies who helped me nurse the soldiers, some of whom were more suitable to a career in nursing than others, I'm afraid to say. You can even see my lamp from Scutari Hospital, which earned me the affectionate title of Lady with the Lamp. Now, you may be surprised by its appearance. It's nothing like the pictures, the statues that they've made of me. However, I was in Turkey, remember. This is a Turkish lamp, a fanus. Now, the artists, the illustrators, the journalists, well, they didn't know which lamp I was using, so they made it up. I'm proud to say my career didn't end after the Crimean War. Despite the frustrating illness it caused me for the next half a century, there was work to be done. I wanted to reform the reputation and skills of nursing, both here in Britain and across the empire. Thank the Lord that my work with statistics and mathematics allow me to do just that, helping the lives of millions. It took a lot of hard work and passion, and I never took or gave an excuse. And remember though, nursing is an art. In case you arrive on a day when I'm not here, our friendly team will be happy to help you with your visit. The Visitor Experience team offer a free daily introduction tour at 3:30 each day and at 11:32 on weekends. Alternatively, why not book me, Florence Nightingale, for a special tour and come along with a group of friends or colleagues? You could even book a tour with our collections officer or a member of the education team. Between us, we meet hundreds of school children each year. If you're really interested in finding out more, you can even book a 2.5-hour walking tour of Florence's London, visiting many of the places across the capital where I helped shape history. Don't be afraid to ask how we can make your visit special. The team here in the museum shop are very keen to help and are a mine of information. I look forward to meeting you here at the Florence Nightingale Museum soon.
That's
That
awesome.
it really is. We has had to share that with you folks today because it's really incredible. And of course,
Jim,
the Florence
I
Night.
found
Go ahead.
this. Well, I found this, and this will kind of explain how going into nursing became part of her passion. So, from a
Okay.
very young age, she was active in philanthropy, ministering to the ill and poor of the village neighboring her family's estate. Now, she was born in Florence, Italy, but
Right.
they moved back to Britain. By the time she was 16 years old, it was clear to her that nursing was her calling, and she believed it to be her divine purpose. When Nightingale approached her parents and told them about her ambitions to become a nurse, they were not pleased. In fact, her parents forbade her to pursue nursing. During the Victoria era, a young lady of Nightingale's social stature was expected to marry a man of means, not take up a job that was viewed as lowly menial labor by the upper social classes. When Nightingale was 17 years old, she refused a marriage proposal from a suitable gentleman, Richard Miles. Nightingale explained her reasoning for turning him down, saying that while he stimulated her intellectually and romantically, her moral, active nature requires satisfaction, and that would not find it in this life. Determined to pursue her true calling despite her parents' objections, in 1844, Nightingale enrolled as a nursing student at the Lutheran Hospital of Pastor Fledler in Kaisenwerth, Germany. Wow.
That
So
is truly amazing.
She really bucked the whole social standard back then.
Yeah, it speaks very highly of her character, the type of passion that she had to heal the sick and all. And I was glancing here at something that I wanted to share with you. In addition to being known as the Lady with the Lamp, she was also, others just simply called her the Angel of Criminy. And it's just amazing because based on her observations there in Criminy, she actually wrote notes. This is a title: Notes on Matters Affecting Health, Efficiency, and Hospital Administration of the British Army. It was an 830-page report analyzing her experience and proposing reforms to all military hospitals that were operating under poor, substandard conditions.
Right.
And
the
this
Crimean
book,
War was in Turkey, just so you know.
yes, yes, it was. And this book had such an impact, ladies and gentlemen, that it actually sparked a total reconstruction of the War Office's Administration Department, including the establishment of a Royal Commission for Health of the Army back in 1857. My goodness. It really impresses me the more I learn about her, and like what you just shared there. You know, even though she met this young man, he was charming, I guess, would be a good word to describe the whole area there. But her long-term vision,
Right,
to answer her calling in life, says, no, I cannot serve myself. I must serve others. And that leads us right into some of the things that, and I just want to comment here, just a little side comments here about what Bill Heinrich shares in his book. And he has shared with me and Donna, we both have his book and all. And it's all about, how you can serve others. And there's probably people out there in TV land, Donna, looking to, when maybe they got an online business or whatever, they're looking to start an online business or whatever it might be. And we've asked people before in a 6-minute webinar, what is it you want to do?
Mhm.
and they say one thing.
Make money.
I want to make money, yeah. That is the poorest reason on planet Earth. And I know there's some people out there saying, what? Are you nuts? No, because money is the end result
Right.
of what you have served others with, be it a product, a program, whatever it might be. And money is something that we all earn. And we should be paid, proportionally to our efforts. And when Donna and I first started talking about Florence Nightingale, we were just kind of like, we've got to wind up the nursing, show,
Yes.
the second part with Florence Nightingale, because without her in the catalyst, the spark the little spark that became a flame, that became a blaze and burns all the way around the world still, and it's still growing exponentially.
Right.
Think of wonderful women and men who have had the opportunity to follow their calling to be a nurse in
Right.
the nursing field.
Well, in this article too, it says that after she left Scutari in the summer of 1856, once the Crimean conflict was resolved, she returned to her childhood home in Leahurst. To her surprise, she was met with a hero's welcome, which the humble nurse did her best to avoid. The Queen rewarded Nightingale's work by presenting her with an engraved brooch that came to be known as the Nightingale Jewel, and by granting her a prize of $250,000 from the British government. Okay, that was in 1856, $250,000.
Let me see if I can find a kind of like a quick, reference for
Right.
250,000.
Comparison of how much it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what year was that again?
That's amazing. That was in 1856, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really shy by nature, even though she was came from a very affluent social family in the upper crust where they did nothing but socialize. It was not her thing. She was super shy, always was as a child. And it caused a little bit of strife between her and her mom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it did. Wow. I just did it in dollars,
how much
folks,
is
because pounds. $250,000 back in 1856. Today, I just did it on dollars because she got paid in pounds. It is $8,756,205.88.
That would be the equivalent.
Wow.
That would be the equivalent, right?
That just blows my mind. It really, truly
That's
does.
a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
That is a lot of money.
And I like what you said there. I like what you said there too, Donna. But when she came home to a hero's welcome, she tried to avoid that because that wasn't that's not who she was. She didn't need fanfare. If she wanted to be recognized and be praised and all that, sure, she was born in that arena already.
Right. She had the complete support of Queen Victoria, and she helped create a royal commission into the health of the army and employed leading statisticians of the day, William Farr and John Sutherland, to analyze army mortality data. And what they found was horrifying. 16,000 of the 18,000 deaths were preventable diseases, not battle.
Yeah.
Right?
16,000 out of 18,000 deaths resulted from preventable, diseases.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So Nightingale's ability to translate this data into a new visual format that really caused a sensation. Mm-hmm. Her polar area diagram, now known as a Nightingale Rose diagram, showed how the Sanitary Commission's work decreased the death rate and made the complicated data accessible to all. inspiring new standards for sanitation in the Army and beyond. She became the first female member of the Royal Statistical Society and was named as an honorary member of the American Statistical Association.
You finally learned how to say that word statistical, didn't you?
I did. I really got my tongue working already. I'm so excited because there are days it just doesn't want to work, Jim.
Oh yeah, well, we've all been there, and it just I knew it.
I
I knew what
continue
you were
on
going
that
to.
on that road.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Because it's some words. This morning, I was sitting with Evelyn, and we do these word puzzles or whatever, and of course we do Wordle and Quordle and all that, but we also do this game where it plays. You read the hints and you try to guess what the word is. And there was a word and I couldn't pronounce it. And Ellen says, "Jim, I know you can pronounce that. I've heard you pronounce it." I said, "Yeah, but not this early in the morning." What can you say? Donna, when I think about all of the great nurses we have in our society today, and all of them they're connected to the energy that Florence Nightingale created.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
what, because you hear people say things today, and I never do say this. I want to leave a legacy for my family. And I'm not knocking that. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that it's never been my focus to leave a legacy, because if you ask my kids, they probably say, "I don't want to be anything like my old man." But realistically, I hope that I just lost my earpiece. See, I shocked myself so much my earpiece fell out. No, but I hope I never get that center focused on me.
Right.
Because I think that would squelch my energy. I'm not saying it's wrong. Don't misunderstand me. It's a great thing.
I think it depends on the people. But like for me,
The person.
right. My legacy would be, honestly, the love that I've given in my life, the things that I
Yeah.
love, the things that I am so passionate about, right? And passing that on,
Yeah.
one of my daughters texted me the other day. Said, "Mom, I need your recipe for, this salad." And I'm like, "Okay." So I gave it to her, and God bless her, because she's not a cook. All right, she's, by her own words, she's not a cook, and she knows I don't use. Seldom do I ever measure anything. Seldom.
Mhm.
I do when I'm baking, because that's a little bit more of a science, but even then that's a little off. But when I do my salads or, a meatloaf or whatever it is, I just put it in to where I taste it. So that's how I sent it to her. And she sent me back a text with a picture and said, "It's pretty good, Mom. I think it's close to yours." And I'm like, "Excellent." And so, for me, that's a legacy, is some of the things that my children have really
Yeah.
loved in their lifetime. That is a legacy. And it
Yeah.
may not be much to anybody else, but for me,
Mm-mm.
it's always brought them love and joy.
It's priceless to you and your family. Yeah,
Right.
that's what a true legacy is. And I understand what people mean. They want to take, provide for their kids. There's nothing wrong with
Sure.
that.
No.
And I understand that. But it just, when you know your calling and you're following the energy in your life,
Right.
you're going to do the right things, because your focus will be on serving others. And when you serve others, you're going to
Right.
get served yourself, not directly from them, but somewhere down the road, it's going to come. And I think we've all seen that in our life. It's just, and when it comes, it's so sweet, and it really, truly
Right.
is. It's such a
It's a
sweet, sweet
beautiful
feeling.
thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Just like Donna and I
I
met, and when we first met, she was in Phoenix, I live in Texas, and we just knew we were going to be friends. But little did we know that this pathway was going to take us into a whole different direction.
Right. What a journey. What a
Yeah,
journey it's been, Jim. And
yeah,
it's been what? About 5 years now?
yeah, yeah. It has. Yeah, it has. It really has. And Donna didn't
And it
realize part of
seems
her.
longer though.
I know that's because that's what I'm going to say. You know, Donna didn't realize part of the journey was to put up with me. So that's why it seems longer, you know?
No, but it's because Jim and I are so very close, right? We are truly, I mean, we're business partners, but there's more. We're really good friends, right?
Yes.
Brother and sister. And he makes decisions without me. I can make decisions without him because we are so like-minded in our thinking that we know that we don't have to go through the other person as a partner for every dadgum little minute thing through the business. Now, you know, we'll talk to each other about if we're going to do a big change or if we're thinking about something like that. That's a whole different thing. But it's because we're so like-minded and we trust each other and we respect each other.
Yes, we do. And, you know, when you have a relationship like that, a business relationship, we're just brothers and sisters, different mothers, the way we look at it, because we're family. And that's very, very critical. And, you know, down this pathway of life and down your pathway of life down there in TV land, you folks, you got to find people who are like-minded.
Right.
And the very best advice I can give you is do not align yourself with someone that's only interested in buttering their own bread.
Well, you have to line your integrity and your boundaries because I promise you, if you don't have good boundaries, your energy will never be in sync. You will never have your energy will never be at a good place, right? So if your energy's here and this is your integrity, and you align yourself with somebody whose integrity is maybe a little bit questionable, it's going to throw your energy off. And it's going to be hard to move forward.
You know, one thing I'd like to say, I should have said it earlier, and I just now thought about it, was when Nightingale got all that money, what did she do with it? She furthered her cause. In 1860, she funded the establishment of St. Thomas Hospital, and within it, the Nightingale Training School for Nurses. Think about that. As she received, she also paid it forward to be a blessing to others. And she became such admired by the public, such a high profile person. There's been poems and songs and plays written dedicated to honor her. And even women from wealthy upper classes, they started enrolling in the training school. Thanks to Nightingale, nursing was no longer frowned upon by the upper classes.
Absolutely. And, you know, in 1910, and one of the reasons is because of the Queen, and also the King George in 1910 congratulated her on her 90th birthday. So when you have somebody who has kings and queens, you know, reaching out to you, that changes the parameter of what you've done. And good for her. Good for her.
Amen. And can you imagine how these royalty, when they reached out to her and they talked to her, one of the most refreshing things that I've been able to experience in my life, and I hope you have too out there in TV land, is when we meet someone and they're very humble about what they did. They were just a servant in the process.
Right.
Excuse me a minute.
Well, Jim, this also says here that the Florence Nightingale Museum sits on the original Nightingale Training School for Nurses. And that it does house more than, because we watched that little video clip, over 2,000 artifacts commemorating the life and career of the Angel of the Crimea. To this day, Florence Nightingale is broadly acknowledged and revered as the pioneer of modern nursing.
And bless her heart, she left this world a much better place than when she found it. That's a true legacy right there. If you're looking for a legacy, that's a legacy. And she passed away. Excuse me, my throat's I got allergies, so please bear with me. She passed away on, go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. She wants to see me get choked up here. I apologize. I know her, see? But she passed away on Saturday, August the 13th in 1910. And she passed away at her home in London. And she is just the lady of the lamp. My goodness gracious. What a wonderful, wonderful lady who tirelessly and effortless, she just continued focus on treating people that were poor and people that were suffering. I mean, that is a true legacy. And my goodness,
Absolutely.
we're about out of time, aren't we?
We are out of time, and we need to wrap up here and get going and let y'all have a wonderful weekend. But Jim and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Absolutely. We know you could be anywhere, and you chose to be here with us.
Yes, and thank you so much, because Donna and I, we take this, we don't take our audience for granted. We realize our audience are just everyday folks like us. And we want to thank you that you enjoy our show, because our show is growing all over the world. We're very popular in other countries. And Donna, I saw this morning, we got 2 or 3 people that watch us here in the United States too.
Yay.
Yeah. I need a cough drop.
Right. So, we're going to, Jim's out of voice power this morning. So we want to wrap this up and say thank you. And, it is Good Friday, Jim. It is Good Friday, and it's Easter weekend. So, wherever you are, whatever your beliefs are, we wish you a most joyous weekend and a beautiful time with your family. And may, you have health and happiness in your life.
I'll go with what Donna said on that.
So we will see you next week, folks. Have a beautiful weekend, and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye-bye, folks.